I've been asked to explain a little bit more about NASM. What is NASM and how do I download it and what does it do? If you've been following my little series on the 8086 breadboard microprocessor, you'll see I've been using NASM to compile the assembler code into binary code and then using that binary code to load it into the EEPROMs. So that's all that the NASM does. It actually is a compiler. So nobody actually writes the binary code. I know if we go back to here, where we were actually showing, I was actually writing in the actual binary code of B01A, 0402, E600, EB, and FA. And I think, in fact, maybe I got that FA wrong. And that was because we were using the different jumps. The whole idea is we don't actually want to sit and plug in the binary codes. Although we can look up what the code is for move and what the code is for add and it's 04, nobody really writes machine code. You can, and I did at the very beginning where I wrote the machine code. So what we use is we use an editor to write the actual assembler code. And here, if we look at this assembler code, here's the one I was using for the post. You may have seen that if you've been following my series on the breadboard 8086. Here, all it's doing here is setting up the display. So it's setting it up to the cursor off, etc. And then it's actually then doing the writing. So it's actually printing power on. It then is doing a little loop where it's waiting. It's then saying 5 volts is okay. It then goes on to say checking latch 1. And it has a little loop where it waits and it says it's okay. Then it says checking latch 2. So there's an awful lot of code I've written there. If I had to go through and try and find out the binary code for all of those, and especially as there's different jumps as well, you're just putting JMP in, but you need to work out whether that was the jump near or the jump short, and then work out what the actual machine code was for that. You don't need to do any of that. Here, for instance, I've got a little loop here where I'm doing W loop 5, and then I'm jumping, if it's not 0, back to jumping loop 5. So I don't actually have to go and work out what that jump not 0 is in binary and and what the value is that I have to jump back to. It just does it all for itself, and that's what the compiler does. So the compiler changes the machine code that the assembler code that you've written into binary, without you having to work out what all the machine codes are for. So if we go and you'll see I've created this file. It's in C binary file start.asm. Now, rather than me trying to do the binary file, all I do is I have navigated here to the binary files. And then if I then enter in the command, which is NASM-F space bin -0, and then I'm passing in the file I wanted to create, which is start.bin, and I'm saying use start.asm. So effectively that command is saying compile that file start.asm into this file start.bin. So it compiles all this machine code, all this assembler code that I've written into the machine code. So if I run that, that's it done. It's now created the start.bin. So if I do a dir start.bin, you'll see it's created a little file, 993 bytes. Now, if I then open PowerShell, and you'll see PowerShell here is in binary files folder, the same folder. And if I do format -hex, so we can see what's in the actual file, the binary file, and I put in the binary file name, which is start.bin that we've just created by running the compiler NASM. You see there, it's actually created all the machine code. So that's exactly all, that's what the compiler does. That's exactly what NASM does. By running that command, NASM -f bin, to say I want to compile the start.asm into binary file start.bin, it creates that binary file for me. So I don't have to work out where I need to put my jumps or what my jump is. It just does that all for me. And that's all that is. It's just creating the assembler file I've created into the binary file. So where can we get NASM from? Well, we can go to a site www.nasm.us and you can download the latest versions from there. But I have to say, I'm always wary when I watch a YouTube video and somebody comes on and says, oh, just go to the site and download this. You go, can this be dodgy? And you tend not to do that. So I'm going to use a feature of Windows called WinGet. I've tried to keep this as user-friendly as possible using Windows applications. I know Ben Eater, when he used his compiler, used a sort of version of Linux and stuff like that, but I want to try to use Windows, and after all, the 8086 chip is the one that was used in the original IBM PC. So what I'm going to do is use WinGet to download NASM. So how we do that is we need to run PowerShell. So if we do power, now we've maybe seen me run this before when I was using the format, but you just go into the search bar, you type in power, and you'll see it's coming up with Windows PowerShell. We need to run this in administrator mode. So you need to click run as administrator. So if you right click on that, it'll come up with this menu option, then click run as administrator, and that will then start up the PowerShell in administrator mode. And then what we need to do is we need to install that by typing WinGet and then install. Oh, sorry, it needs to be the space. Sorry, WinGet space install. And then NASM. And then -I. So WinGet space install space NASM -I. Okay, say yes. Install for anyone using this computer. Yeah, we'll just take those. It's going to install the C program files NASM. That's great. Click next. It's network assembler install. And that's it. And that is NASM successfully installed. Now that I've used WinGet, what we need to do then is set the environment variables, because if I try to run that NASM in my command prompt, it won't actually be able to find it. It'll have to find it where it's loaded it into the programs folder. So if I do environment variables, so what I need to do is go down to the search bar and type env, and you'll see here it says edit the system environment variables. If I click on that, then it comes up with system properties. And here we're looking for this button here of environment variables. Now I've already done this, but I'll show you exactly what needs to be done. So if I click on this button, what we need to do is we need to add the actual path of where the file is that we've just downloaded for NASM. So if I click on this and I do edit, which is what you'll need to do, you'll see you do new. Now you'll see I've already added in C program files NASM, because when we ran the WinGet, that's where it put the NASM files into C program files NASM. Now, as I say, I've already done that, but effectively you would just do new, and then you then type in there C : / program space files / NASM. I've already done that, so I don't need to do that. So I'm going to cancel out that. But that's what you would do. You also then need to add it into the system variables here as well. So if I scroll down, you'll see I've already added this in. Where have I put this? Here, NASM. So you'll need to do a new, and it'll say variable name, and you'll put the variable name as NASM, and then you put in the variable value of C program files NASM, which is the folder that you have to put it into. Now I've already done that, so as you can see, that's already created in there, but that's all you need to do. And that's why once you've done that, you click OK, and you can cancel out of that. And that then allows you, when you go back to here and you then type in that NASM, it then knows that even though you're in binary files, it knows where to actually find the files and actually then run the actual compiler. So that's all you need to do. Once you've downloaded that, once you've changed those environment variables, then when you run that command, it will actually go and find the compiler where it's loaded into the program files folder and run that. And then you will find, if you put in here the binary files, that you'll find your binary files been created. And that's really all there is to it. I really appreciate you following these little set of videos, and really do appreciate you clicking like and subscribing. And any questions you have, please put any comments down and I can follow those up. Thanks very much.